will translate the news into the sign language. We take off from Zambia, where President Mahama has stressed the critical role of strong institutions, accountability, leadership, and democratic governance as the foundation for Africa's development. In a rare and historic keynote address to the Zambia National Assembly, President Mahama cautioned that corruption, weak institutions, and poor governance remain a major obstacle to the continent's progress.
The factor in changing Africa's story is governance and leadership. We must admit, Africa needs and deserves transparent and accountable leadership. The institutions and the laws to fight corruption must be allowed to operate without fear or favor. Abuse of public trust must be punished. We must protect public resources and use them efficiently for the good of our people. As President Obama said during a visit to Ghana, and I quote, he said, "Africa does not need strong men. It needs strong institutions." We must build our democratic institutions to be independent and efficient. Parliament and the judiciary must work independently in the public interest. Leaders must respect their oath of office to respect the Constitution. In our sub-region of West Africa, democracy is backsliding with a return to military dictatorships. Ghana is, however, on a mission to prove that democracy works and that our people can achieve prosperity and opportunity under a constitutional democracy. Right, Honorable Speaker, I commend the efforts of the government and people of Zambia to stabilize your macroeconomic environment. The improved performance of the Zambian currency, the kwacha, and the ongoing reform agenda sends positive signals to investors and regional partners. And so Ghana looks forward to deepening trade, investment, and financial cooperation with Zambia to reinforce resilience and shared prosperity. Ghana follows Zambia's democratic journey with keen interest and confidence. And as Zambia prepares for general elections in August this year, we wish to express our trust in the strength of your democratic institutions and the commitment of the Zambian people for free and fair elections.
Still at the Zambia National Assembly, President John Mahama declared that the era of exporting raw minerals with minimal value capture must end if Africa is to achieve genuine economic transformation. He urged African leaders to reclaim control over their natural resources as a pathway to prosperity and industrial growth.
Right, Honorable Speaker. To achieve economic transformation, Africa must not be ashamed to leverage its comparative advantage in its natural resource endowment. Africa must exercise greater sovereignty over its natural resources if it is to create prosperity for its people. The era where we parceled out large-scale concessions to speculators who then turned around and flipped them for huge profits must end. We have the know-how, the technology and capital are available, and indigenous companies must be encouraged to participate in the extractive and mining sectors. We must support our indigenous private sector to capture the commanding heights of our economies. In Ghana, mining and the extractive sector play a significant role in our economy. And much like Zambia and other African countries, we are the source of critical minerals like gold, bauxite, and manganese. And yet very little value is added to these minerals locally. My country is changing that narrative. Ghana established the Gold Board in April last year to take control of and regulate our gold exports. The Gold Board was given sole authority to export gold out of Ghana. Since the establishment of the board, gold exports from the artisanal and small-scale mining sector have increased from 63 tons to 104 tons in 10 months. And the sweetest part of it is that this 104 tons have earned Ghana over $10 billion in forex inflows. We're also taking steps to domesticate the value addition of our minerals. The Gold Board has recently signed an agreement with a local gold refinery to refine about 1 ton of gold every week, rather than exporting the raw Doré gold. We aim to commence local processing of our manganese and bauxite as well, instead of exporting the raw ores. We've also replaced the flat rate royalty system for minerals with a sliding scale system from 5% to 12%, depending on the international market price of the mineral.
Still in Zambia, Ghana and Zambia has taken a major step towards strengthening Africa integration with the signing of a visa-free travel agreement for all passport holders. President John Mahama announced the milestone while addressing the Zambia National Assembly, describing free movement as critical to boosting trade, investment, and people-to-people relations on the continent.
It is in this spirit that Ghana and Zambia have revitalized our Permanent Joint Commission for Cooperation, providing a structured, results-oriented framework for collaboration across all priority sectors, including trade, investment, energy, tourism, mining, agriculture, education, science and technology, youth development, and defense cooperation. Just this afternoon, we have signed 10 memorandums of understanding to act as the framework for our joint cooperation. Prominent among these is the Memorandum of Understanding to allow visa-free travel for all categories of passport holders between Ghana and Zambia. And so it means as of this afternoon, when signatures were appended, Zambians don't need a visa to go to Ghana, and vice versa. This is an important step towards the free movement of our people on the African continent. Peace and security remain indispensable foundations for sustainable development. Ghana values our cooperation with Zambia in defense training, intelligence sharing, and peacekeeping, and we remain committed to strengthening collective security across our continent. Equally important is the quest for restitutive justice and restoration. The African Union's 2025 theme is Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. And this is both a moral imperative and a forward-looking call to action. As African Union's champion for reparations, Ghana will shortly sponsor a United Nations resolution on slavery. The resolution seeks to declare slavery as the greatest crime against humanity. And we will be honored to count on Zambia amongst its co-sponsors. Madam Speaker, I'm also addressing you this afternoon in my capacity as the African Union champion for gender and development.
Back here in Accra, Ghana, Vice President Professor Nana Jane-Opoku-Agyeman has called for smarter, forward-looking housing solutions as government intensifies effort to address Ghana's housing deficit. During a working visit to the Ministry of Works and Housing, the sector minister, Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ejay, outlined ongoing affordable housing projects and the expansion of private sector partnership. The Vice President stressed the need to improve land use planning, climate-responsive designs, and energy efficiency building to meet the country's long-term housing needs.
There's been an issue of a housing deficit of about 1.83 million. And some of the initiatives that we're trying to come up with so that we can bridge the gap includes completing affordable housing projects. So far, 800 units of the Pone Affordable Housing Project is being done progressively by TDC. And we have advanced arrangements in place to complete the famous Sagleme housing project with the selected developer. So very soon we will sign the agreement. Here is currently at AG. State Housing is also continuing with the Search Homes at Amrahia. And then State Housing Gardens, also in Adenta, they are all near completion. And the ministry is going to ensure that we complete all these projects. Also, to tackle the housing deficit, we also getting into private sector participation.
When I saw the housing spread all over the place, I asked myself, how about land use? It's the same space you have called Ghana. And if today we feel that, oh, there's so much land that is not used, the life of a nation is a very, very long, it's something we need to guard. And in this country, we have a high birth rate. We should be interested in that. We can't use all the land now for us. I see a lot of the beautiful buildings coming up. The windows are so narrow. I wonder why. Am I the only one seeing that? And it looks to me that even there's so much light out there, but it looks to me that in this particular building, even in the daytime, you need light. How does that affect our energy? Like no air should come in, and yet we live in the best part of the world called the tropics. So the architects, I'm always on their case. These are some of the conversations we have to have with our friends in the training institutions.
The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has cautioned that the state faces what he describes as a looming tsunami of land compensation claims that could amount to billions of cedis. He raised the concern during a vice president's visit to his place. That's the familiarization visit to the Ministry of Justice. In response, the vice president called for innovative approaches to land compensation, increased investment in land expertise, and the training of professionals capable of addressing Ghana's complex land challenges.
There are also a lot of land matters, especially land compensation. And Your Excellency, those are becoming a big headache for me as the Minister of Justice. In fact, there is, for want of a better word, a tsunami of land compensation cases that are hitting the courts against the Republic, and the figures are mind-blowing. Some as much as 500 million Ghana cedis, claims being made in respect of compensation. The claimants mostly will go and duster documents from the archives and claim that the colonial government did not pay compensation for land, and then they will take the government to court, and for some reason they keep waiting all the way to the Supreme Court. We are looking at billions of Ghana cedis in land compensation claims, so it is something that we want to bring to the attention of government. I have directed the Solicitor General to put together a brief for the President on the land compensation tsunami that we are facing.
On the land cases and how all of a sudden we are remembering the colonial times. Maybe these are things that have been in the pipeline for a long time and people are finally frustrated. Figures are mind-boggling. So we need to find ways of dealing with them, find different ways of compensation should that be necessary. So we rely on you to advise us. And I also hear you on those who are unnecessarily overworked. In terms of compensation, it's not a problem for me. But there's only 24 hours. There's only one life. So I would be very, very happy to see that many more people are being trained. When did we know that this department is shrinking? And why do we have so many law programs that don't address this one? Now we have law schools all over the place. So shouldn't we be interested in specializing to solve our problems?
We move to Parliament, where the ranking member of Parliament's Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs, Mr. Isaac Yaopoku, has sounded the alarm that persistent delays in payment of cocoa farmers may push cocoa farmers and the industry into deep crisis. Addressing journalists in Parliament on Thursday, February 5, 2026, Mr. Yaopoku urged the government and the Cocoa Board to immediately pay farmers for cocoa beans sold since November 2025. Many farmers or many cocoa farmers in Ghana have gone unpaid for 3 months.
Farmers have tended their farms through harsh weather. They have spent huge resources to control pests and diseases. They have toiled to harvest their farms and sold it to the government in good faith. Yet, months later, they are still waiting for weeks on end to be paid. Is this the resetting which was promised the good people of Ghana, or the reversing of the cocoa industry? Farmers are asking. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it is not only the poor farmer who is suffering. The failings of government and Cocoa Board are also hurting the cocoa buying companies, that is the LBCs, and transporters, especially the indigenous companies and local enterprises. By delaying in repayment of cocoa taken over from the LBCs, these business and investments are at risk. They have their working capitals locked up, their progress hindered, and financing confidence undermined. We demand that our cherished cocoa farmers are treated better and with dignity than what we are seeing now. Cocoa farmers are not beggars. Paying cocoa farmers promptly is not a favor, it is an obligation.
Meanwhile, the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana, LICOBAG, has raised concerns on Ghana's cocoa industry, citing funding woes, poor sales strategy, and political interference as major hurdles affecting the sector. At a news conference in Accra, the association proposed specific solutions, including a review of the current funding model, securing adequate funding resources to ensure timely payments to cocoa farmers, and a thorough assessment and improvement of the cocoa sales.
Cocoa Board has become a dumping ground for political food soldiers. The one very professional organization with top-notch technocrats with deep institutional memory has lost its shine due to the depth of knowledge available. Hitherto, only the chief executive is politically exposed, and with time, the 3 deputy chief executives were also political appointees. It is sad to note that there is no longer security of tenure in Cocoa Board, as there is sweeping change in personnel at all levels, including drivers, with a change in government. The situation worsened during the tenure of the immediate past and current government. And this vicious cycle seems to become the new normal unless something is done about it. We want the current funding model to be reviewed so that a hybrid of the old model of securing some syndication facility, that is from local or international banks, to enable real-time payment for cocoa purchased and delivered to port by LBCs.
Away from cocoa issues, the High Court in Amasaman has reviewed the 15-year prison sentence of self-acclaimed preacher Patricia Asiama, also known as Nana Grada, to 12 calendar months. The court held that the sentence by the Circuit Court was harsh and excessive. The court, in exercising its discretion to review her sentence, asserted her conviction but reduced it from the 15 years of hard labor given by the Circuit Court. Grada was convicted and sentenced 15 years in July 2025.
The court says Agrada's latest sentence takes effect from the date of her conviction on July 3, 2025, meaning Agrada will serve a total of 12 months in prison, of which she had already served 8 months. She is expected to be released sometime in June 2025. Agrada's application for appeal filed on July 3, 2025 argued that the judgment of the Circuit Court was harsh and excessive. She was found guilty of charlatanic advertisement in newspapers contrary to Section 137, Clause 1 of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, and 2 counts of defrauding by false pretense contrary to Section 131, Clause 1 of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29. According to the appeal application, Agrada was aggrieved by the conviction and sentence by the Circuit Court and prayed for an order against both convictions and sentence to be set aside as the judgment was unreasonable and cannot be supported by the evidence on record. Secondly, it says the whole trial was wrong in law. She argued further that a trial judge denied her fair trial by calling her to prove her innocence when prosecution led no insufficient evidence, contrary to Article 19, Clause 2C of the 1992 Constitution. Agrada also claims that a judge demonstrated manifest bias and personal animosity towards her by persistently engaging in confrontations, harassment, and intimidation of her lawyers in open court, thereby denying her adequate and effective representation. The High Court, in varying her sentence, held the opinion that although the offense for which Agrada was convicted demanded that she was punished, the severity of the sentence was disproportionate under the circumstances, hence the court's decision to reduce her sentence.
The lead lawyer in the case, Mr. Richard Asare Bafo, as well as the legal practitioner, Mr. Akwesi Boama, has been sharing some perspectives on the case.
What it means is that the judge took into consideration Section 21296 of Act 30, which gives the number of years, that is the maximum number of years in respect of defrauding by false pretense, which is 25 years. So you say that the person can be sentenced for the maximum period of 25 years. So what it means is that it can start from 1 day to 25 years. So the Circuit Court judge took into consideration a sentencing guideline that was introduced by the former Chief Justice, George Nawu, in the year 2015, which placed defrauding by false pretense at level E, which takes into consideration certain factors of the aggravated nature of the crime, the effect it has had on the victims, and even the severity of the crime. So, in the wisdom of the High Court judge, which on appeal, which all of us here are yet to read the full judgment. I mean, the court, from what I've read so far from the media landscape, is that the court took into consideration the fact that this particular sentence was quite harsh and excessive. And the question we need to ask ourselves is whether or not the judge acted within the remit of the law. And I would say that yes, based on Section 30 of the Court Act 1983, the judge, upon an appeal being made to the High Court, has the following, can make the following orders: reverse the finding and sentence, acquit and discharge, order the accused to be retried, or order committed for trial, alter finding, alter sentence or substitute the sentence, or set aside custodial sentence and impose a fine. And so what it means is that the judge, upon reducing the sentence to 1 year on 12 months, it means that the judge acted within the remit of the law. Section 30 of the Court Act. When a criminal appeal goes to the High Court, what can the judge do about it? So in this instance, the judge, now the question all of us are asking ourselves is whether or not the judge acted, upon rehearing the matter, acted fairly, or it was not just up to the standard all of us were expecting.
We read the Bible, there are several of them that went into jail, but eventually that doesn't change the calling on them. So he's not the first person to be jailed. We have so many prominent figures in Ghana and even outside Ghana who were once at a point in their lives were jailed. So jail, the prison is for all of us. So the lessons that we draw from it is what is important, because today it is Mama Pat. Tomorrow, if you don't order your steps well, if you don't fortify your mind and you continuously renew your mind, you may also end there. The prison gate is not going to be closed today.
On the announced plans to rename Kotoka International Airport as Accra International Airport with legislations to be introduced by the Minister for Transport. The majority leader, Mr. Mahama Ayariga, has been explaining that the move resounds or responds to calls from civil society and the public, who argue that honoring General Emmanuel Kwesi Kotoka, a key figure in the 1966 coup, conflicts with Ghana's democratic values. Public reactions have been mixed. Some citizens welcome the change as a step towards redefining national heritage or identity, while others insist the current name carries important historical significance. Historian and legal expert Mr. Yao Frimpong Anochi also supports the renaming, describing it as both historically and politically justified.
But yes, what the coup ni band here, a coup at that time, the motion no, and on the firm bed and welcome. But it says, because it said, yeah, it didn't impact Medagana. No, it didn't impact Medagana. Ye here, Juma, your Maria school to fee, and yet Juma morning yet.
Everybody knows Accra, and the foreigners too, they know Accra. I don't think most of them know history about Kotoka. But if you say Accra, okay, Ghana, Accra International Airport, Ghana, that's fine. It's a branding.
I believe, it's one of the legends that we have in the country. So what has happened that maybe we don't want to remember him anymore. So I think if a matter is established, we all agree that fine, the person qualified to be named him after the place. So why this time do we want to change it?
Obi ansesa no an obi anim enchiri manso ba enti we de besra ban yesre na omadina naso yapanichopi yesre no.
Well, it's a good initiation because at least the name was there since Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So when there was a change of government and then the name was changed to Kotoka. So it's a good initiative and I think the members in parliament, they are all agreeing to it.
Some people may come to Accra may not know the name Kotoka, but Kotoka is a historical name which is somebody we all know in our history, so I think they should maintain the name.
It is something that we all grew up to hear, Kotoka. So changing it to Accra, something I don't really see to be necessary. But if they are really going to name it, to rename it, I think it should be Accra and not what people are saying, maybe Nkrumah or something. It should just be Accra International Airport.
It is something that will please every heart and soul in this country. Because if we are talking even by legal measures, in the year 1993 thereabout, the NPP as a party brought an action against the Attorney General, which we all know as the 31st December case, that to the extent that we had entered a constitutional dimension, it was wrong for the country to observe 31st December as a holiday. And the apex court of the country upheld their prayer that once you are in a democracy, anything that reminds you of a coup d'etat or revolution had to be jettisoned.
The majority caucus in parliament has donated 100,000 Ghana cedis to the wife of the late Ayawaso East MP, Mr. Muhammad Nasir Tori. During a courtesy call, the caucus conveyed their condolences and expressed solidarity with the bereaved family. The visit comes ahead of the National Democratic Congress, NDC's parliamentary primary scheduled for Saturday, February 7, 2026.
Come today to pay our last respect. And I'm here on behalf of the Speaker of Parliament and then on behalf of the Majority Leader. He's supposed to join us, but there was an emergency from Boko. That's why we couldn't see him today. So as we are here, Ajia, to tell you, the whole Parliament, we are with you and have our condolences. Your husband has been a good brother, a good friend, a good chairman, a colleague, and his calmness alone has evened taken us aback because we least expected it. In the last parliament, the other parliament before recess, he presented their committee budget on behalf of Energy Committee. So little did we know that he will not join us in this parliament. Have our condolences. We are with you. Our prayers are with you. We will not forget you because the way your husband collaborates with us to work in harmony in the house, he will always be in our heart. Parliament, we are presenting 100,000 Ghana cedis to the wife and the children.
The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, has advised Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives, MMDCEs, to take accountability serious since their continued stay in office as chief executives depend on their ability to pass the test of social accountability committees. The committees have been set up to empower citizens to hold local government officials and service providers accountable by monitoring performance, tracking public resources, and improving service delivery. That was speaking during a meeting with members of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs in Sunyani.
Local government ministers' meeting with members of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs was to extend courtesies from the President to Nananum and also solicit their support for the President's commitment to ensure rapid development of the districts. Chiefs or their representatives from 11 traditional areas and Queen Mothers from 12 traditional areas attended the meeting. The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, emphasized that the President is demanding strict accountability from MDCEs and urged them to be up and doing, especially in areas such as sanitation, galamsey, and community development.
In the Social Accountability Committee in Uba, bad time, Sikasel and Edimao 2025, there na udiaye there, you account to the people. Say beya, President Mama ye serious warning. Say accountable ye man intimiye.
The Chieftaincy Minister also touched on the vexed issue of chieftaincy disputes. He said the government has increased financial resources for the judicial committees of the various houses of chiefs from 30,000 Ghana cedis to 50,000 Ghana cedis to enable them to better handle disputes that come before them. Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim further disclosed that government is considering reintroducing palace courts to enable Nananum to play key roles in district-level development efforts such as sanitation.
And the President say, Sa palace court na ebetnya boa maya kwatia sanitation, poor sanitation, any illegal money and the rest no. Nyame ya aduma, sa ansense ni nyina ye hwe mmara no, na committee na edin sakrai beba no, omoma omagi enko.
The President of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs, Osajifo Ajimambidu, reminded the Minister of badly needed repair and reconstruction of roads.
Abekwania. Yeah. Brekum Sampa. Yeah. Brekum Sampa. Yeah. Brekum Sampa. Makaname. Yeah. Yewra. Big push ya yewra de maye baby ene namina sekwa ene chemesu eko Gambia yewra yedanase. Yeah. Nammo sa kwane ya mboso yewra. Ya yewo fie titro abonofo. Ohia ye papa.
The Bono Regional Minister, Joseph Adai Akwabwa, expressed gratitude to the chiefs for supporting the efforts of the government.
It's all the news on GTV and GBC News. You go for a quick break. Just stay.
Highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES. Lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Going to the library. Going to the library.
Okay.
I'm going for my graduation. Go well.
Education changes stories, and being part of these stories is the real passion for us. MTN.
Welcome back and thanks for staying on. On business, the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Matilda Asante-Asiedu, has underscored the need for African countries to expand the use of local currencies in trade and financial transactions across the continent. Speaking at the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2026 at the Accra International Conference Center, she said the push for local currency settlements must be led by central banks, while safeguarding financial stability and maintaining public confidence. Matilda Asante-Asiedu noted that African economies must take deliberate steps to reduce their dependency on foreign currencies and deepen regional economic integration.
Ghana is an active member of the Pan-African Payment Systems and Settlement PAPS, which enables cross-border payments in local African currencies. It shortens the long value chain and lowers the cost of trade across the continent. So our vision is very clear. Africa must increasingly be settled in African currencies, all the transactions done in Africa, through African infrastructure and supported by African institutions. At the Bank of Ghana, we are advancing key initiatives. First is our FinTech Passport, which is a transactional collaboration between the Bank of Ghana and the Bank of Rwanda to enable cross-border licensing and regulatory trust. We believe that this solution could be scalable across Africa to facilitate trade. Our next generation digital public infrastructure initiative is testing multilateral interoperability frameworks, settlement modules, and future cross-border currency arrangements.
The Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, has expressed disappointment in Ghana's position on the Atlantic Lithium Agreement. According to the economic think tank, the lithium agreement currently before Parliament is a sharp departure of NDC's position while in opposition. The Institute is, however, holding on to President Mahama's latest declaration that Africa must exercise sovereignty over her natural resources.
The Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, continues to kick against the current lithium agreement presented to Parliament by the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. The economic think tank is pushing for a total sovereign ownership of the country's natural resources and, for that matter, lithium. The IEA rejects assertions that Ghana lacks the technical capacity, capital, or expertise to manage its own resources. The institute believes the country has a cadre of experienced mining professionals, many with decades of operational leadership. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, a former Chief Justice and Fellow of the IEA, Justice Sophia Kufu, noted that Ghana's current royalty regime is both inequitable and short-sighted, delivering only a fraction of the potential value embedded in its natural resource endowment.
Emphatically, Ghana must have full ownership of its natural and mineral resources at all points in time, and must exercise this ownership right by engaging private sector, local and foreign expertise strictly through service contracts that preserve national control and maximize the benefits for the country's industrial transformation.
While expressing disappointment in government's revised agreement with Atlantic Lithium, the IEA is optimistic the president, with his latest comment on Africa's natural resource management, will take a second look at the deal.
Yes, we're surprised by what has been given, or the document produced by the ministry. But then when we hear the president on 3 occasions saying that we have to own our resources and we have to have sovereignty over our resources, I think that gives us a bit of hope. And I hope that some of these discussions will get to him and have him rethink it.
Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, in November last year, presented a revised lithium mining agreement between the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and Barari DV Ghana Limited to Parliament for approval. This follows a request by the company to adjust the lease terms due to a sharp fall in global lithium prices, which has affected the viability of the project. Global lithium prices had dropped from about $3,000 per ton at the time of the initial agreement to around $630 per ton.
We now have the performance of the cedi and the price of gold, cocoa, and light crude. On the energy segment, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, has recovered 8.5 million Ghana cedis linked to the diversion of petroleum products by some oil marketing companies, OMCs, according to the OSP's half-year investigative report covering July to December 2025. The funds represent procedures traced to companies allegedly involved in redirecting fuel consignment in violation of approved distribution routes.
Fuel diversion occurs when an OMC lifts petroleum products from an authorized depot for delivery to a designated location, but unlawfully discharges the product elsewhere, while still claiming subsidies or accounting for the original delivery. Fuel diversion has long been a concern within Ghana's downstream petroleum sector. The National Petroleum Authority has always complained about the practice, stating that it undermines tax collection, compromises fuel pricing integrity, and contributes to artificial shortages. The report noted that the illegal practice results in substantial revenue losses to the state and distorts official fuel distribution records. It also highlighted suspected diversions involving marine gas oil and gas oil lifted between 2023 and 2024 by several OMCs. Companies named in the report include Big Energy, Energetic Petroleum, Goodness Energy, Jet Petroleum, Kabori Oil, Laclem Ghana, Max Energy, Mwari Oil Company, and N3. Others cited are Nagami Ghana, Ong Zima Company, Petro Sankofa, Plus Energy, Quantum Petroleum, Sote Energy, and Westport Petroleum. The OSP's intervention forms part of wider national efforts to combat corruption, tighten monitoring of petroleum distribution, and recover public funds lost through fraudulent activities. The Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, Mr. Benjamin Insia, spoke to Energy News on the OSP's reports.
In as much as the concern of the OSP is about tax evasions or subsidies making from government, I think that from the consumer perspective, it also destroys a lot of vehicles, causing damage to most vehicles, because premix fuel are not meant for vehicular use. They are marine oil meant for outboard motors and other marine transport. But to bring them onto the vehicular market damages a lot of vehicles. I think that MPA must put in measures to address this particular fuel dimension once and for all.
The downstream sector, which handles the marketing, distribution, and sale of petroleum products, remains a vital component of Ghana's economy, making diversion cases a major governance and accountability issue.
The Techiman Area Line Maintenance Team of the Ghana Grid Company, GridCo, has successfully replaced critical shattered insulators on the Techiman transmission line in the Bono East region, ensuring the reliability of a key cross-border power connection. The operation was carried out under challenging conditions as engineers had to work on a transmission tower, which was a hive for bees. Despite the risk, the team deployed appropriate protective gears and safety protocols to complete the task within 5 hours without any incident. The timely intervention was crucial in preventing potential outages in the line, which forms part of the interconnection between Ghana's national grid and that of Burkina Faso's Sonabel state-owned power utility. The Ghana-Burkina Faso interconnection is a strategic asset under the West African Power Pool, enabling power exchange between the two countries to enhance regional energy security. Through this partnership, Ghana has over the years supported Burkina Faso with power imports during supply shortages, while also strengthening regional grid stability and cooperation. Officials say maintaining the integrity of the Kintampo Adubilaili line is vital in sustaining this relationship, as any disruption could affect electricity supply beyond Ghana's borders. The successful maintenance work, GridCo explains, underscores the country's commitment to rapid response, operational safety, and the reliability of both national and regional transmission infrastructures. It also highlights the importance of strong collaboration between GridCo and Sonabel in advancing regional integration and ensuring stable electricity supply across West Africa. The health segment of the news is brought to you by Trust Jehovah and Yamvita. So the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, affectionately known as Mahama Care, is taking steps to make a difference. An assessment is underway at the Ridge Hospital in Accra, aimed at supporting cancer patients and others struggling to access medical care, a vital initiative for those in need.
Born out of a vision to heal, the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, Mahama Cares, is on a mission to ease the burden of chronic diseases. Launched in April 2025, it bridges gaps in the NHIS, cushioning costs for cancer, stroke, and kidney care. Administrator Obuobia Daku Opoku says the team is assessing hospitals nationwide, reviewing 50 medical cases, with 30 already assessed ahead of a 2026 rollout starting with cancer care.
Today we've paid for 10 patients to go through open heart surgeries. We've done neuro cases and all, and I'm sure that is out there for everybody to know. We have 20 more to go. We are hoping that in this month of love, we will finish it by the end of the month, and then the 50 pilot cases will be over as we prepare to roll out on the 1st of April.
At the Reach Hospital, Acting Medical Director Dr. Leslie Adam is breathing a sigh of relief. He describes it as a much-needed intervention as the Ghana Medical Trust Fund assesses the facility. The hospital's diagnostic arsenal is depleted. CT scans, MRI, mammogram, X-ray, and fluoroscopy machines are all out of commission, crippling healthcare delivery.
It's a very congested building. There's a lot of pressure on the staff and the facilities in the building. Another major issue is staff accommodation. Based on the location of the facility, we see a lot of emergencies. And usually when emergencies come, it's difficult to ask for them to make a down payment or a deposit before you attend to them. So we usually attend to a lot of people under emergency circumstances, and when they are done, it's difficult for them to raise money to pay their bills.
The Ghana Medical Trust Fund's administrator, Obuobiadaku Opoku, says the assessment will inform urgent support for critical cases. Partnering with Corporate Ghana, the fund aims to bolster cancer and cardiac care, ensuring life-saving services reach those who need them most. Plans are also afoot for cardiology centers in major cities, tackling heart-related conditions head-on.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Yamvita and Trust Jehovah. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has deployed an army battalion to Kwara State, and those and many more after this break. Do stay.
Highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES. Lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by
Let's do some international stories. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has deployed an army battalion to Kwara State after gunmen killed as many as 162 people in one of the country's deadliest attacks in recent months. The assault targeted Wara village last Tuesday, just days after the military launched operations in the area against suspected terrorist groups. The number of deaths, according to local authorities, have continued to rise as search teams recover more bodies in surrounding areas. No group has claimed responsibility, but the state government has blamed terrorist cells, which President Tinubu has pointed to Boko Haram jihadists. He condemned the attack and ordered troops to secure the area, saying the victims were targeted for rejecting extremist ideology. The violence comes amid an intensified military campaign across Nigeria, where armed gangs, jihadist groups, and intercommunal clashes continue to destabilize large parts of the country. In a separate incident the same day, suspected bandits killed at least 23 civilians in Katsina State in what appeared to be retaliation for Air Force strikes on militant camps. As insecurity worsens, curfews have been imposed in parts of Kwara State, schools were temporarily closed, and concerns are growing over the expanding reach of jihadist groups linked to regional networks operating across Nigeria's borders. In sports, as Ghana prepares to host the 15th Africa Arm Wrestling Championship, attention is firmly on building strength where it matters most at the grassroots.
More than 20 participants took part in the intensive training aimed at sharpening their technical skills to help identify, nurture and develop new arm wrestling talent ahead of the Continental Championship to be staged in Accra. The course focused on empowering coaches within schools and security institutions, seen as fertile grounds for discovering raw strength and discipline needed for the success in arm wrestling. The resource person, head of referees for Africa Arm Wrestling, Mr. Husseini Akwete Adi, stressed the need for Ghana to strengthen its development structures, particularly coaching.
As technical people, we need to beef up our technical structures and include especially coaches. Now, we are looking at the schools and the security services with the hope of recruiting more talent, groom them for the championship. It is in the light of this that we think we need to train their coaches. So we are here today to train coaches, especially for security services and the selected schools that we intend to identify talent. I've told them that this is just the startup. We will do a series of seminars, then through that we'll be able to certify those who have better grips of the technical stuff and the rules.
For participants, the impact of the training was immediate. A physical education teacher from Wesley Grammar Senior High School, Mr. Richard Boafo, described the course as timely and empowering.
The moment I go back to school today, I have to introduce them to this post, and then those who have the interest or those who have seen they have the features that a wrestler should have, I have to get in touch with them and then quickly we start something. Yeah.
With the African Wrestling Championship fast approaching, organizers believe the initiative will not only boost Ghana's medal prospects, but also ensure a steady pipeline of talent for the future, turning classrooms and security units into breeding grounds for Africa's next arm wrestling champions.
That is all time allowed on News Hour. My name is Mavis Ofe Champon. Thanks so much for your company. Jonathan in Team Dako translated the news in the sign language. Do join us at 10 for more news. Till then, enjoy the rest of our programs. Good evening.